Welcome, history fans. We still have a big battle on our plate after the storm of Thermopylae, Eurymedon, and Salamis of last week. I'm the Archivist. Let's see the end of the greco-persian wars without further ado. In the spring of 479 BC, Mardonius, commander of the Persian forces still in Greece after Xerxes I's departure, leaves the center of the country, goes again through the Attic, occupying Athens a second time, before looping back towards Boeotia, doing devastations near Megara and Plataea. To there meet the assembled unified Greek army. This one is led by Regent Pausanias of Sparta, nephew of late Leonidas I. Pausanias has marched past the wall built across the Isthmus of Corinth to link up with the Athenians and other free Greek forces to defy near Plataea, maybe from the 27th of August onwards, the Persians in a decisive battle. There are 80,000 Greeks, half of them hoplites. 5,000 Spartans lead this vast army, accompanied by 5,000 Perikoi hoplites, free men of Lacedaemonia, and 35,000 helots, slaves of Sparta, lightly equipped as psiloi. Standing by the side of Spartan Pausanias is the Athenian Aristides, with 8,000 of his hoplites and 800 archers. In front of them are at least 100,000 enemies, or according to other sources, 300,000 Persians plus 50,000 Greek allies, including the Boeotian League and Macedonian allies. All this led by Mardonius, of course. The battle actually turns into a 7 to 11 day long confrontation, during which early on, fightings erupt near the village of Erythrae. This is the first phase of the battle. Then a pitched battle occurs where the invaders deploy Persians on the left, Medes in the center, Greek and the Far East allies on the right, all that northeast of Plataea. In front of them, the Athenians hold the left, the Megarians and Corinthians the center, and the Lacedaemonians the right. This second battle is difficult, as it ends leaving the Greeks dispersed, the opposing side cavalry, Boeotian, notably, having done no good for them. The Greeks have to withdraw during the night in confusion, their supplies almost cut from them. It is the Spartans that get particularly isolated, as the leader of a low coast of their army, Amonpharetos, refuses to retreat as ordered. He is then beset by Mardonius, but, willing to face him and his men, they massacre his infantry and kill the powerful satrap, who is mortally struck by a sling projectile. While this time, the Megarians, whose city supplies 3,000 hoplites and 20 ships during this war, and the Corinthians manage to regroup with the Athenians, just as these are hardly pressed by the Greeks allied with the Persians, Thebes included, and almost encircled by the enemy's cavalry. The Persian army then starts breaking and flees, its camp swiftly taken. Despite all the difficulties of this long battle, the Greeks could have only suffered 1 to 2,000 casualties, including 90 Spartans against dozens of thousands for the Persians, as usual, mostly because of the pursuit after the battle. As you can admire this detail of a bas-relief of the Acropolis of Athens, showing Greeks fighting Persians, keep in mind that back then these would have been painted. And Plataea is not the only battle of importance of the year, as the Persians still have ships around. About a month after the Greek victory on land, it seems, a naval battle takes place at Cape Mycale, off the coast of Ionia, near the island of Samos. The Eurypontid king of Sparta, Leotychides II, leads a combined fleet, among which the Athenian numerous ships are commanded by Strategos Xantippus, the father of famous Pericles, against the Persian ships assembled there. And he surprises the enemy, arriving unexpected and burning his galleys as they have been pulled ashore, galleys of the time would not be left in the water when not navigating during a campaign. The quick flight or change of side of the Ionian Greeks adds to the ease of the victory. Athenians, Corinthians, Trezenians, and then the Sicyonians have distinguished themselves in the battle, and the Persians abandon almost all pretense over Greece. The greco-persian wars won't last for long still. In October now, Thebes, for its support to the Persians, is besieged and taken by the Athenians and their close allies. Thebes loses influence for decades, the Boeotian League disappearing for some time. Then there is the minor affair of the taking of Sestos in Chersonese of Thrace, the peninsula of Gallipoli today, as the winter starts, from the Persians and by the Athenians and allies of Xantippus, the Spartans being now tranquilly resting home, satisfied by the news that the Persian bridges of ships on the Hellespont have been broken by a storm. So the taking of Sestos follows a siege at the end of which the defenders abandoned the place. And will close this decisive year with the misadventure of Persian general Artapasus retreating toward Persia by land and attacked at the mouth of river Strymon by Alexander I of Macedon, who had played a double role so far in this war, but clearly shows whose side he's on now. The Persians, maybe 40,000 of them here, suffer high casualties. Alexander the Macedonian, boasting of a stronger army now, takes some land of the satrapy of Thrace in these environs too. To 478 BC. An important year, as this is already when the Delian League, named after an island of the Cyclades, is created by Athens and its allies. But Sparta, the land power by excellence in Greece, sees the growing influence of Athens at sea as a long-term menace, the seeds of the future war. In the Delian League, the common fleet of the alliance is mainly provided by Athens, Chios, Lesbos, and Samos, and it is stationed in the harbor of Athens, the Piraeus. Moreover, Athens rebuilds its ramparts after the devastations caused by the passage of the Persians and even extends them. And in the east of the Aegean Sea, in the islands of the Dodecanese, that of Kos rebels against the Persian occupier that's been present there for 3/4 of a century. By the second half of this century, Kos will join the Delian League and will serve as an Athenian base. And there is at least one Spartan that's active in these times. It's General Pausanias, with a fleet that's half composed of Athenian triremes, of about 50 units in total. He takes a good part of Cyprus from the Persians. He then sails northwest towards the distant Byzantium that he'll take after a siege. 477. In Italy, the Roman tribe of the Fabii sends, according to the history, 306 of his own alone to combat some Etruscans, maybe from Veii, not far north of Rome. As the Romans are vanquished at the Battle of River Crumera, the consul Appius Claudius have those who fled decimated, which means that 1 man out of 10 is executed. If true, that would be the first case of decimation in a Roman army, in which the legionaries will always have to comply with an iron discipline, even a centurion, leader of a company, falling under a death sentence in case of grievous mistake. The same year, the Athenian Cimon, strategos of the Delian League, veteran of the battles of Marathon and Salamis in 480, ousts Pausanias the Lacedaemonian from Byzantium. How rude! We jump over 476 to 475, when the Persian garrison of Eion, positioned since 476 on the coast of Thrace, is kicked away by Cimon of Athens, who secures the valley of the Strymon in the region. Maybe he also takes the island of Skyros, a pirate lair in the Aegean, and Charistus in Euboea as soon as this year. And the following, there is a naval battle of Cumae in Italy between the Syracusans of Hiram I coming to help Cumae from here and the Etruscans coming from there. The Sicilian fleet of Syracuse then prevails, and the Greeks are really relieved by the defeat of the Tyrrhenians, who lose influence because of this setback. They won't be able, for example, to prevent the installation of a Syracusan garrison on the island of Ischia, off Naples. Here, how celebrated the victory of Cumae was by Greek poet Pindare in honor of Hiram I of Syracuse, and also citing the victory of Hymera of 480. I beg you, consent, O son of Cronos, that the Phoenician dwells tranquil in his abode, and that hushes the war cry of the Tyrrhenians, since they saw of Cumae their insolence weep the loss of their fleet. They know how they have suffered when the leader of the Syracusans has tamed them, and he, from atop their swift ships, has thrown the flower of their youth to the sea, tearing Greece out of servitude. And now, also in 474, a 40-year peace is concluded between Rome and the Etruscans of Veii particularly. On the other hand, the Romans have to fight against renewed Volsci and Aequi invasions, an affair that probably lasts until 462. I should have said incursions rather than invasions. In 473 BC, Sparta, in conflict with Tegea, city of Arcadia that fought against its expansion, defeats it. Decades ago, King Anaxandridas II and Ariston of Sparta had started giving the upper hand to Lacedaemonia over Tegea. And far to the east, meanwhile, new attack of the Yue against the Wu, which is next. Gojin, king of Yue and possessor of this beautiful bronze sword, becomes last and non-official hegemon of the spring and autumn period in China. Moving on directly to 470 BC, a revolt from Naxos, city of the Delian League, is tamed by Athens between here and 468 at most. And new success of Sparta over Tegea, which will support it during a certain Peloponnesian War. And in 469, or slightly after, 466 maybe, Cimon, Athenian strategos of the Delian League, repulses a Persian invasion attempt on the Eurymedon in Pamphylia, southern Anatolia. It is the son of Xerxes the First, Tithrodes, that's present there with 200 to 300 ships, waiting for the reinforcement of 80 more of Phoenicia and Cyprus when Cimon falls upon him with 200 triremes. Most of the Persian units are captured or sunk, and the Persian elements that had been landed, commanded by Pherondatus, then offering battle, turns in favor of the Greek hoplites once more. Cimon is now the grand strategos of Athens, since Themistocles has been exiled for collusion with Pausanias the Spartan, this one being executed at Sparta. Anyway, Cimon here also frees Phaselis in Lycia, maybe in 468, from any Achaemenid Persian influence. He then, for sure this time, takes the island of Skyros in the center of the Aegean Sea and forces Charistus in Euboea to integrate the Delian League. The following year, Argos, which had been largely absent of the greco-persian wars because of its bloody defeat against Sparta in 494, goes to war against Mycenae and Tiryns, not far from Argos. Argos destroys the two cities and takes back its place of rival of Lacedaemonia in Peloponnese. A few years later, the island of Thasos revolts against Athens. Strategos Cimon intervenes, beats the fleet of the Robos, and starts besieging the city of Thasos itself. In the same time, Athenian settlers, thousands of them, are massacred by Edon Thracians at Drabescos, near the Nine Ways in Chalcidice. Hagnon, son of Strategos Nicias, will come back against the Edons and manage to create the colony for good, naming it Amphipolis on the banks of the Strymon, but not before 437 BC. Last but not least for this year, in the Persian Empire, Xerxes I is assassinated in Susa in August. His son, Artaxerxes, first of his name, takes his relief after executing the assassins, proven or supposed, like his own two brothers, Darius and Hystaspes, this latter vainly trying to start an insurrection, maybe from Bactriana, to save himself. And Artaxerxes I no sooner has to deal with another revolt of Egypt. For Inaros, the Libyan king of Cyrene, and Amyrtaeus, the prince of Sais, think they can take advantage of the change of Achaemenid king. More on this next week. 2 more years for us. 464. The Helot slaves of Messenia and Laconia take advantage of an earthquake that's just ravaged Sparta, killing up to 20,000 Lacedaemonians to revolt a third time, or fourth, depending on how you see the past history. The insurrection even concerns 2 Perikoi coastal cities, Thuria and Athea. The Messenians solidly entrenched themselves on Mount Ithome, and their enemies lack troops to go get them, as in addition to the wrath of nature, a Lacedaemonian contingent is en route to Thasos to help it against the Athenians. The proud Spartans even refuse some help sent by Athens under the form of hoplites led by Cimon, further degrading the relations between the 2 cities. The insult will push the Athenians to form an alliance with Argos, rival of Sparta, and the Thessalians, excellent riders able of diamond-shaped charges taken after the Thracians, and later used by the companions of Alexander the Great. Back to the Helots' revolt. Sparta only accepts the aid of Mantinea, Plataea, and Aegina. One battle of Steniklaros is fought sometime during the revolt, costing the lives of 300 or more, or Spartans. And lastly, 462 BC, a revolt again of the satrapy of Bactriana is quelled by the soldiers of Artaxerxes, the great Achaemenid king of Persia. Maybe it is the end of 465 events. Then Messenia is largely back into the fold of the Lacedaemonians. Some Helots and Perikoi are still resisting on top of Mount Ithome, but their leader has already fled. Some Messenian Helots have been evacuated towards Naupactus by Athenian ships to avoid death. Megara, because of some hostility towards Corinth, leaves in the upcoming year the Peloponnesian League led by Sparta to go over to Athens' side. And to finish off, Thasos surrenders to the Athenians of Cimon after 3 years of siege. Thasos did not receive any help from Sparta in the end, and it must deliver its war fleet to Athens and destroy its walls. Next week, we will see the start of the First Peloponnesian War between Sparta and Athens. There can be only one major power in Greece, and the start of the Warring States period in China. Thanks for your support to the channel. See you all next week.